Hi, this recording is to showcase the highlights of Sage Intacct Inventory Automation and from the mobile device, as well as the data flowing back into the Intacct system. A quick overview, it's an extension of inventory capabilities onto a mobile device. The solution is designed to leverage barcodes when possible, provide instant data validation of data being captured, as well as the automation, the creation of transactions automatically back in Sage Intacct. What you're looking at here, and I'm going to move it around, is the emulation of the mobile app. And in my background, I have my demo instance of my Sage Intacct system, as well as a virtual printer over here. So what you're looking at is the main menu when you launch the application. There's a login. The solution does not take up additional Intacct users. So we track that by a user login on the mobile device as far as transaction history is concerned. This also allows us to control permissions within the solution as well. It can be password protected, and it does support multiple entities as well. It could be linked into the login, so you don't have to have the user indicating that information. I'm going to simply tap on accept here, which you would do with your finger when you're using this on an actual mobile device. And here is an example of how the main menu can look. This solution is completely configurable. What I mean by that is you can name these transactions whatever you want. You can even nest transactions within headings here. For example, I have inbound, and when I tap on that, I have PO receiving, which would be receiving against a purchase order, or I have what I'm calling direct receipts. That actually could link back to what is an inventory adjustment up, bringing items into inventory. We'll show you the PO receiving here. And what's happened is there's a purchase order back in your Intacct system, and the items have arrived on the receiving dock. So to capture this with this mobile application here, we can launch the PO receiving transaction. It's going to ask the user for a PO number. Now, I referenced barcodes a minute ago. Anything you can scan, you're going to want to scan. It makes it faster to capture the data as well as more accurate. It's going to validate that. So if I were to key in a purchase order number and it's not one that's in my system, it would tell me that right away. A lot of our customers have success asking their vendors to barcode a packing list with the purchase order number. That way you can just point and shoot and go from there. You also have the ability to tap this lookup here. And it's going to connect up real time to my Intacct system and list out all purchase orders that are available for me to receive in. I just so happen to have one as I'm dealing with my demo data here. If you had a large list of purchase orders, in this search bar, you could type in the vendor or supplier's name. You also could type in the purchase order number and search by that. If there's a large list, you could scroll with your finger to select. And once you select it and hit accept, it's connecting up real time back to your Intacct system, and it's actually grabbing the data for that PO and it's placing it locally on the device. Now that's important because this solution allows you to function even when you're disconnected. So I have the data on my device for this purchase order. If I lose connectivity, I still get my instant data validation for items and quantities, and I can continue from there. You'll notice here it's asking for a warehouse code. If I do the drop down, it's only showing me valid warehouses that are set up in Intacct. And the default is either set by user, so when I logged in, that determines that, or it can be set to default to what's ever on the purchase order. This could be blank and the user could select that as well, or we could bypass this altogether and go directly, I'm going to hit accept here, to the screen where we're capturing item information. The default focus is in the item, so I can just shoot a barcode. If it's already barcoded, I can even leverage existing barcodes with our alias item cross-reference, which allows you again to scan existing barcodes and we cross-reference those in the setup with your actual item numbers. You also have the ability to select from the display here. So if items aren't barcoded, for example, I could simply tap on my screen here, hit accept. It knows that's a valid item then. It's going to default to quantity. And when I'm on a device that does not have a physical keypad, I'm obviously on a computer right now. If I'm on a mobile device though, a numeric keypad would pop up here so the user can simply tap in their quantities. And it's showing me here I have a balance of 10 because I've received in 0 out of the 10 on the purchase order. I'm also given my unit of measure so I know what I'm working with here. And when I go to key in my quantity, if I make an accidental keystroke error here, hit an extra 0, it's going to validate that for me also. Now, this is a setup option. You can allow the users to over-receive, and it can be password protected as well if you want to allow somebody to over-receive with a password protection. I'm going to tap OK because mine is simply set not to allow me. I'm going to hit my appropriate quantity of 10 here. With the mobile print aspect of Intacct Inventory Automation, you have the ability now to print labels. And here's my virtual printer. The labels are set up and designed to fit your needs. If you wanted to have multiple components of data in a barcode, we can do that as well. But the idea is seamlessly right as you're receiving items in, if they are not already barcoded, boom, you can print labels and they'll print out to a network thermal printer. You'll also notice on the device here, as I receive in items, they drop off of this display here, so I only see what's left. And let's grab this next item here. Oh, I do want to show, if you were to capture an item number that is not on that particular purchase order, One setup option would be to lock it down so it just tells you it's an invalid scan, or that cross-reference alias number that I referenced a minute ago could be captured right here. So if you're receiving items in, you know it's the right item, it just might be from a new supplier or vendor. I can capture that cross-reference field, and now every time that I scan or enter this number in here, it's going to reference it as my actual item number. So let's go ahead and select this next item here, and let's look at the quantity from a different perspective. I showed you guys how that handles it when you over-receive or try to enter a quantity that's too many. Let's do it on the flip side of things. Let's say I receive in 15, but I've accidentally now just hit a 1. Well, if I'm printing off labels, I'm going to notice that I was short as far as the quantity that printed out. But let's say it's an item that's already barcoded. I don't need to worry about printing labels off. You'll see it stays here on this screen. So once again, if I'm paying attention, I'm going to notice that I didn't receive everything in, even though I maybe thought that I did. However, we do have some customers that they're so well trained on this, they think they're done. You hit the arrow here, which signifies you're done. You get an overview screen, and you'll notice here there's a section called unresolved lines. And it's noticing that if you notice, there's one here. Any line that is not completely received in, and this holds true on the outbound side for shipping orders as well. Any line that's not completely received is going to be categorized as unresolved. That could be one that I accidentally entered the incorrect quantity, or it could be I skipped a line altogether. Now, you have a chance here to check this out, correct any mistakes, and continue from there. But we also catch you one last time. If somebody's in a rush, hits that arrow at the top, then boom, hit send data, there's an actionable dialog box the user has to pay attention to. If it is the event where you did not get those items, your vendor supplier did not send those to you, you can hit send, and whatever back ordering method you have set up within Intacct to handle that is going to kick into place when it imports over there. On the other hand, if I made a mistake and I realize that now, I can hit review, see the line in question, pull that up, and correct my error. So we're making sure it's the correct item, making sure it's not too many as far as the quantity is concerned, making sure it's not too few, making sure that you did not skip anything, and then we're also making sure that all of the data has been captured for the purchase order. When I tap my send data now, it's completely received in. It's going to connect up now and send it over, automatically creating my receipt back in Intacct. When I pick up my Intacct system here, here's my purchase order. I'll do a quick refresh. It's going to convert that purchase order, and my workflow is set to go from purchase order to a PO receiver, and you'll see it creates the receiver instantaneously. I'm going to pull up the mobile menu here, get back to the main menu, and simply just review some of the operations here. There will be further videos that detail each one of these. Under outbound, you can do a pick, pack, ship. Functions very similar to what I just showed you on the receiving side. It's just referencing order entry to get items out the door. You also have assembly, where you can do kit assembly here. You can do standard kit assembly, where it's just going to ask the user how many kits, and it'll go ahead and take care of building those kits back in your Intacct system. The mobile device could also prompt you through the components and quantity of each kit. And there's advanced features where you can use substitute component items and have items in multiple warehouses as well. Under inventory transactions, and again, these are just suggestions, you can set this up however you want. You can do things like an inventory issue, relieving items out of inventory, relieving inventory of damaged items or scrap items. All three of these would be an inventory adjustment, and they can be separate types of adjustments back in Intacct. So once again, it's as flexible as you want it to be, tied back to whatever transactions you set it up to be tied to. Inventory receipt is similar to what I mentioned on the receiving side of things. This just would be bringing items into inventory, creating the adjustment up. Now, under warehouse transfers, this leverages the in-transit transfer functionality. You could do a quick transfer that simply takes items out of one warehouse into another warehouse code, or you could do a reference back to the draft transfer document, where you can virtually pick a transfer. It's going to validate items and quantities, move it into the status of in transit, and then you transfer it into the final destination, which would be like receiving it in. So you can track those transfers right on the mobile device. Again, there will be more videos out on that as well. Inventory count automates the cycle count process. You can simply create your Intacct cycle count on the mobile device, and you can have multiple devices out there at the same time. You go out, count your items, tap a button, update cycle count back in Intacct. And finally, there are utilities. So you can see an item inquiry or an item alias maintenance. Item inquiry shows you a snapshot of what item information you have in your Intacct system, from quantities, warehouses, things of that nature. You also then could create those alias numbers that I showed you at the receiving through this utility as well. So the idea of this recording is to simply give you some ideas as far as how this solution can be leveraged. Once again, it's run on mobile devices. typically scanning barcodes, but as you saw, you can tap on the screen. That's not necessarily a requirement. And there will be future videos that highlight each one of those components in more detail. Thank you so much.